Hey everybody, welcome to the Difference Makers podcast. Yes, we have rebranded the podcast from Three Questions to Difference Makers podcast. We're going to have some new guests, different guests, and a lot more awesome conversations for you guys to learn and for you guys to enjoy. So today we have none other than Mr. Christian Ulvert here with us today. Thank you for joining,
Thank
Christian.
you for the invitation.
And so Christian is very involved in you're very involved in the political state of Miami-Dade County.
Yes.
And we love to talk about that.
Sure.
And, tell me, who is Christian?
Sometimes I ask myself that too. Who is Christian? So I was born and raised in Miami. I'm a product of our public schools. I went to Mass Academy in Key Biscayne and left in 2000 to Tallahassee, where I lived there for a decade.
Wow.
Working through college and getting my master's there in public policy. And decided to move back home in 2009 after starting Edge Communications. I filed in 2008, so I'm about to celebrate 17 years with my firm.
Wow.
I had the opportunity to work in the legislature. I was a senior policy advisor and communications director to the Democratic leader, Dan Gelber, who later in life became mayor of Miami Beach, served 6 years. So for me, it started all because someone believed in me and gave me a shot as an intern in 2003, where I started my journey in politics.
Yeah.
And 22 years later, I'm still in it.
And how were you able to land that internship?
Sure. Really through a friend. It was a friend said, ironically, let's go out, take a break from craziness of school. And I met some folks, and they said, we have an internship program, and if you're interested in politics, you should try it out. And I did it. I applied. And since I'm from Miami, they wanted to connect me with someone from Miami. Dan was rising in leadership, needed an intern, so they assigned me Dan, and literally the rest is history. So for me, I tell everybody it's half the battle showing up, and then the other half is doing the work.
Yeah, I mean, I think there's a saying also that it's all about showing up even when you don't feel like it.
Correct. That's how I felt that day, that afternoon. I was like, do I really want to go out? But I did.
When you do show up, you see the benefits and the fruits from doing that.
Yes.
And so you started off, and then he later became mayor of Miami Beach. Were you involved with him?
Oh yeah.
During when he was mayor?
Yeah. In 2010, he ran for attorney general, statewide. Not the best year for Democrats. Our opponent, ironically, was a prosecutor named Pam Bondi, who's now our United States Attorney General. And he lost that. He went and opened up his law firm, went into private practice. And in 2017, when it was an open mayor seat, he decided that he wanted to go back to public service. It's part of his DNA. It's also part of his family. His dad, who was very beloved and respected in the community, also served as mayor of Miami Beach. So it was a great opportunity for him to follow not only the legacy of his family, but do what he loves, which is serving the public.
Yeah.
So of course I worked on his campaign, guided him through that, and he served from 2017 through 2023.
Okay.
So very fun times.
Yeah, and so that was pretty recent. So you worked with him all throughout this a couple years back.
Yes, I worked with him. Before that was Philip Levine, who was also the mayor of Miami Beach from 2013 through 2017. So I've been very much involved in the Miami Beach political scene, and now deeply involved in the county scene with our beloved mayor.
So tell me, how was it you started? So you started off there as an intern.
Yeah.
Then when were you exposed to Mayor Cava, all the commissioners?
Sure.
Doing what you do now with Edge Communications and in the campaign process as well. How did that internship open up to everything?
For me, it just started my journey. So in 2003, I realized I was given an opportunity, and I really enjoyed the work, and I built a passion really for public service, but being the person behind the scenes, and working with great leaders who inspire and want to do good. And in 2008, I decided it was time to transition back to Miami, and I didn't want to go work for someone else. I said, Dan encouraged me, like, if you're going to do this, do it on your own. Yeah. Work hard and make the money for you.
Yeah.
So I opened up Edge, and from there, I started taking on clients. So I did a lot of legislative races, so my focus because I worked in the legislature. That was the area I knew. So I did a lot in state House races, state Senate races. I was a senior advisor to the Democratic Caucus in 2012. That's the world I knew, but I also have been very active in our community.
Yeah.
And I was chair of our LGBT group, SAVE. And at the time, there was some stuff that we were trying to pass at the county, and the group wasn't having great success. So that exposed me to the county world, quite honestly. And we felt like there was an injustice, and our group was determined, along with others in the community, to bring some change to County Hall. And I met Mayor Levine Cava at the time, who was deeply involved in this community and someone that was beloved and is beloved. And we encouraged her to run. And
This was when she was running for mayor.
For county commission.
For commissioner, okay.
This is in 2013. This is now 12 years ago, literally 12 years ago. And she embarked on a journey of public service. And literally, in some ways, the rest is history. This we saw through her county commission race, people from all over Miami-Dade County wanting to come to volunteer, right? To people from Miami Gardens, people from Hialeah, people from Doral, driving down south to go walk door to door. You know what that is.
Yeah.
It's time-consuming,
especially when you're dealing with the whole county.
Correct. Well, and that one was just a commission race, so people were driving down to go volunteer in Homestead and Palmetto Bay and Color Bay and the Falls, Redland, because they believed in her. And you don't see that every day. So when you see so many people from outside of district say, we want to show up and help her. And she was first-time candidate. She had never run for office. And she was building a moment and a movement of people who believed in her because she has a heart goal. She really believes in her core what it means to be a public servant. So she had a following. And from there, she ran for re-election in 2018. And it was really in that re-election where you felt everything come together, where this is someone who's destined to do more for this community. And in conversation, she said she wanted to be challenged and take that passion to a bigger role in the county. It was for county mayor. And, I look back at that race, now we're talking about 2020, where so many people just did not believe, right? But I didn't fault them. They didn't have the opportunity to get a firsthand look the way I saw of what people did for her in a county commission race, how people believed in her, how people said, and when she ran for the county commission, she ran against the sitting commissioner. People said that's impossible. It's hard to take out an incumbent. It's hard to challenge the status quo. And she did and won. So when she was running for mayor, people said, this can't be done, or she's not known countywide. Yeah. And I just told everybody, have faith in her. This is someone who's going to bring in people from every corner of this county. And that's what happened. We literally did what has never been done before, which was we said we're going to qualify. So to run for office, you have to put in your paperwork, qualify. Yeah. Most people pay a qualifying fee with a check with money that they raise. Well, we said we're going to do it different. We're going to really test and show this community that this is a person who has a whole community behind her. So we qualified by petition, and we collected 20,000 signatures from all over the county. So Mayor Levine Cava at that time, Commissioner Cava, could be on the ballot, not because she paid a check, but because this community believes in her. And then we did it again in her re-election in 24. Yeah. So to this day, she's the only elected official in Miami-Dade County who's qualified by petition countywide. And that speaks to who she is as a person, and why for me the deep respect and admiration I have for her is only a part of it. It's just the amount of faith and trust that I have in her because she's guiding this county is endless.
And what was your role during all of that? Sure, you played a great pivotal role in all that you just mentioned. And what was your role? What was your spot? What was your role in doing
so
all
I'm her. I've always been her top political advisor. So I'm the person who brings the team together.
And were you part of those that joined forces with her back in 2013?
Yes.
When
so I'm the one that encouraged her run.
So you're the reason.
I don't know if I am not the reason. I am but one piece of a beautiful puzzle that makes up a mosaic of people and organizations that believe in this mayor. I love what I do. I love being the intersect of politics, public service, and public engagement and communication. So she felt the calling, right? And there's a reason, there's a purpose and a drive, and my job is to channel that and build an organization around that.
Yeah.
And with her, it's very easy because so many people believe in her. So I'm the person who really builds the team. I'm the one that brings the folks together. And with her, it's very easy because everybody wants to be a part of it.
Yeah.
First and foremost. And two, it's just not me though, right? In every campaign, we've had a team. Obviously, our county commission races were smaller. Our county mayor's race was bigger, especially this last one, where really it was you often hear people-driven campaign or people-powered campaign. For this mayor, that is true in every sense, right? It is the small dollars that we fundraise that fuel her campaign. It is a people-driven operation that it's so many that want to be part of it. It's a diverse set of people from all over Miami-Dade County. My job is to harness that and bring it to life.
Yeah.
Because campaigns is about bringing the energy together and doing good with it.
Yeah, and I'm sure through it all you had ups and downs.
Of course, it's campaigns, but
Yeah.
politics. It's never easy.
And so, tell me when down in one of the downs in the valleys, how were you guys? How did you pick it back up, and how did you get the team together to move forward? Because I'm sure at one point of this whole process, it didn't look like it's easy to lose heart and easy to get discouraged.
It is. It depends, right? When dealing with Mayor Levine Cava, it's actually very easy to keep head in the game because she was such a wonderful person. So as challenging as those times are, and like you said, there's highs and lows, and we're low in the valley, you're kind of looking up and saying, where's my hope? For us, it's always grounded on our leader, which is our mayor. So for us, it's easy to say, yes, it's challenging, but we're doing this with and for someone who is doing so much more for this community. Then sometimes often I know that this community doesn't have the appreciation and understanding because politics is messy, governing is messy, and the public shouldn't be subjected to really understanding the nitty-gritty because it is an emotional roller coaster. But our mayor goes into the community to share that process, which is what gives us that heart and that passion to say, okay, today was a challenging day, and we're going to talk through it, we're going to support each other, and tomorrow will be a new day, a new start, a fresh approach, and come in with highs every day to stay focused. And then when you have that low, focus on those highs that guide us every day to lift us up.
Yeah, and I feel like when you have the mentality that tomorrow's a new day, tomorrow's a fresh start, sun rises, it's a new day. The sunset yesterday, that was an old day.
Yeah.
So
all you can do is reflect on yesterday, but you got to work for tomorrow.
Agree, that's awesome. And so this whole thing, you're still with, you was when you had Edge Communications, right?
Mm-hmm. Yes.
So tell me, what do you do now with Edge Communications? You told me about, the public sector, and what do you do on private sector, and how do you, balance both
Sure.
at the same time?
When I launched Edge in 2008, it was always a two-part firm focus, which is the campaign management and campaign consulting with the public affairs and corporate communications program. So that was from day one. And day one, when I opened up my firm, I had political clients and I had corporate communications clients, and that's been my focus ever since. So my balance has always been true since the first day I started this firm, which is elections. I focus on helping good people get elected. On the private side is I tap into what is my strength, which is communications plans, right? How do you build communications plans, public engagement for corporate clients who need it? And most of the time, most of my work focuses on referendums, right? So last year, we had a pair of referendums in the city of Miami that the voters needed to approve and ratify a vision for Jungle Island, Watson Island. So we help lead those efforts. So my work always goes back to, though, our focus is always communications, right? Public affairs, public engagement. So it has a mission and a drive behind it because our lens is always the public, right? How do we interface with the public? How do we guide our clients to interface with the public? So it's a unique model in many ways, but it exists all over the country. Every state, every county, every city has a version of, I'm sure, Edge Communications doing the public affairs because so much intersect exists with the public.
Because on the private side, people, these private firms, they have to go in front of county commissioner's board, and you have to hear, ultimately it's the people out. So you're that middleman trying to see, this is the best way to get this project across to these people. Right?
Yeah, so I do. It's a communications plan.
Yeah.
It's how do you build a message for the right messengers, right? So
a lot of people don't know how to communicate a certain project or a certain thing that they want to do.
Correct. And oftentimes what it is an opportunity to what tactics to use, right? In this new world of digital technology and social media and digital engagement. I mean, understanding that we're in a 24/7 cycle, not because there's 24/7 cable news, right? That's the old model, right? When people said we went from nightly news to 24/7 news, the world changed. And folks need to appreciate that the world changed again several years ago, that we are now not only in a 24/7 news cycle, we're in a 24/7 public engagement cycle, right? Because anybody can post anything on social media. And what's most disheartening is that now it's not fact checked, right? It's not, someone can post something about a project or a program that is just based on opinion and not fact.
Yeah.
And that can spiral out of control. And all of a sudden you're playing defense on an item that is literally based on a lie.
Yeah.
So our job is always, how do you stay ahead of that threat or that challenge? And you got to do your own level of engagement. And how do you then, who's your audience, right? And nowadays, everyone's your audience because of social media, right? Yeah. Every community has Facebook groups and Instagram groups. So anybody can post anything, and you never know what someone can post and what the threat is. So our job as a firm and our team is always focused on, all right, if you're going to have a very forward-facing project, is what is that communications plan that goes along with it? Always, my audience is always the public. That is our firm always has and always will focus on that intersect with the public.
Yeah, let's talk about how, you worked a lot with the commissioners. There's 13 commissioners, right? And you've worked with, a good handful of them.
Sure.
And how is that dynamic with, a lot of commissioners are Democrats, some are Republicans, but then, we just elected a couple of Republicans in the, for example, the tax collectors, the smaller offices that still play a role.
Sure.
And, you're in that world. How do you see that dynamic kind of handling? And I'm sure it's a healthy dynamic, especially in Dade County from what I see. I could be wrong. But, how have you seen that in the past? How do you see that now? That whole dynamic.
It's a new journey we're all on because we've never elected these positions. It's the first time we elect them. So we're all kind of going along for the ride of how this is going to work. I just fundamentally believe when you elect good people that are in it for the community, you can find bridges everywhere.
Yeah, that's true.
Is it sometimes challenging? Of course it is, because everybody has a mission when they get elected, right? They have a vision, a mission, a purpose. And sometimes you have to, through relationship building, find that common ground where you're on a sturdy bridge, right?
Yeah.
And it's a leap of faith sometimes. You got to meet halfway, you got to meet in the middle. What is great about our county politics, right? So we go on the mayor and the county commission, they're not partisan. So it's less about the partisan label and more about how do you find common ground on the work that needs to get done. So my hope is that culture permeates and is found within the constitutional officers as well that are first time elected and serving in these new roles for our community, but exist in 66 other counties, right? So it's new to us, not other parts of the state of Florida, so we can learn how it's managed in other parts of the state or in every other county, how you build those bridges. Because at the end of the day, we all want to be safe. We all want to feel like if there's an emergency, the sheriff's office is going to show up. And I know that she'll show up and her team's going to show up like they have before. It was the sheriff's office, it was MDPD, with community and safety at heart in every decision and every action. Our taxes are going to be collected. That's why we have a tax collector. Our elections are going to be run fairly and smoothly. They have before, and Levine Garcia and he supervised our election. I'm sure we'll do the same. So we have to have a level of understanding that we're all residents of Miami-Dade County that want to find the good and do the good to the best of each of our abilities and find that common purpose. And I'm confident that we'll get there.
Yeah, I think that's key. I think it's okay to disagree, and when you have the common mission and the common goal, it's it's a lot easier.
Of course.
And it's good. It's my perspective that county isn't ran like federal elections where you have two parties and they're divided. And that's why everywhere you see there are countries divided because on different viewpoints.
Yes.
Right, on different political viewpoints.
Yeah.
And from what I've seen, Miami-Dade County is not divided by party differentials, and a big part because it's nonpartisan. But I feel like a lot of voters still, are they Democrat or are they Republican?
Yes, you're always going to have that.
Right, you're always going to have, especially if you're knocking on doors.
Yes.
Like we both have done.
Yes.
You always have the people that ask that, and then you always say, it's a nonpartisan election. And you let them decide and do their own research.
Yeah, I mean that is the strength right now of nonpartisan is it takes away where people feel that their only connection to an elected official is a partisan label.
Yeah.
Right. When it's nonpartisan, you open up. All right. What are your issues? What are the things that I care about? What are the things you care about? Are they similar? Right. And you don't have the party label weighing you down in that conversation, right? Because there are things where I agree with Democrats and there are things I disagree with Democrats. And I'm a Democrat. I'm a big Democratic operative. And there are things where I obviously disagree with Republicans, but there are things I agree with Republicans. But I'm so far and deep into this process that I can kind of reconcile those things, right? I can say, these are my values and why I'm proud to be a Democrat. But at the same time, I'm a resident of Miami-Dade County, a resident of our state, a citizen of this nation. So I can say, okay, this is where I disagree with my party, and I see things by what the other party's doing. And through Dan Gelber, I learned early on a life lesson. When I was the communications director in the final 2 years, Marco Rubio was the Speaker of the House, right? So you had Marco from Miami, Dan from Miami. So there's a natural bond and bridge that was built because we come from the same community. Obviously, I was born and raised here. So there's a lot of synergy. And Dan always said that the other side is not our enemy. Our job is to see them as loyal opposition, right? They're advancing causes that they believe in based on their wins. Yeah. The same way we're going to hold them accountable because we're the loyal opposition. And when we have a turn to advance our agenda, in turn, they're going to see us, hopefully, as the loyal opposition. We got to get back to that, right? Right now, our federal system, and it's not the fault of any one party, has divided us to the point where it's like almost they're seeing each other as enemies. And we're all Americans.
Yeah.
Everybody was elected of the same red, white, and blue, right? And we got to get back to a point where we can say, all right, I would approach taxes differently, right? I want to do tax cuts, but maybe I want to focus on this set of tax cuts because it's going to help more people in a targeted way than a broad set of tax cuts. Well, one side is proposing one, they're not the enemy, they just have a different viewpoint. Yeah. And is there ways to blend the two, right? Or how you deal with transit or how you deal with housing. None of this is about because one side is the enemy proposing one plan and the other one is not. It's like they're all just different ideas.
Yeah.
And we got to get back to a point where what shapes my views is my life experiences and those around me, right? I was raised by a single mom, so that viewpoint matters for me because that's my upbringing, right? Yeah. How she had to work hard, wake up early, stay up late, helping me get through school. I'm always going to be a fierce defender of public schools because I didn't have the means to go to private school. For me, public school was the option. And I want every kid that follows me, now 25 years later, to have the same opportunities I had in a public school setting, right? Because you don't need to have the means, or be forced to have the means to be able to have a strong education. That's what separates us in this country from other countries, is that we invest in core values. So really, for me, when I look ahead, it's like how to take all the work, my life experience, and really double down on building bridges and finding people to come along on that bridge.
Yeah, that's awesome. That's a awesome story, and that's what drives you, right?
That's what drives me every day.
Your purpose, your moral.
Yes.
And it's important to have a purpose because I think people that don't have purposes, whatever your purpose is, you have no direction.
Right.
And so that's awesome. And where do you see yourself in the next 5 to 10 years with Edge Communications
Sure.
involved in Miami-Dade County?
Sure. That's I've been thinking a lot about that. So in 2028, I'll be celebrating 20 years of my firm, God willing, and it'll be an open mayor's race, an open presidential race. So for me right now, I'm grounding myself in that purpose, right? So my work, God willing, will continue as it has, right? So I've established myself in this community, in the state. So I have no doubt that I'll exist, but really where's the purpose in the next election cycles? And for me, it's 28, right? We're going to have a defining moment in our community. Who follows this mayor? Because it's tough to follow this mayor because this is Mayor Levine Cava, someone who pours her heart every day into this community, who wakes up every morning and goes to bed every night thinking about the residents of Miami-Dade County, the small businesses of Miami-Dade County. So for me, it's like, okay, who follows that? And nationally, for me, I want us to get back as a party to embrace Democrats who want to unify people, who want to find common ground. So I'm going to find myself maybe getting involved again in the presidential election. We'll see.
Okay.
So I did it in 2020. I was a senior advisor on President Biden's campaign. I sat out 24. I think 28 I may be. Maybe the year of shaping what the next decade looks like by getting fully in the ring of an open mayor's race, an open presidential race, and continue to work with good people. Always, like you said, grounded on purpose and mission.
That's awesome.
Yeah.
Well, thanks, Christian. I thank you for your time and for this awesome conversation.
Thank you.
And I'm sure that our viewers enjoy this most definitely. And so
thank you for doing this. It's a great public service too.
Yeah. So thank you guys for watching. Again, you could follow Edge Communications and Christian over. Do you have a Instagram handle or anything?
I do have a Facebook page. So
Facebook page.
Yeah, so you can find us on Facebook.
And on edgecommunications.com, I'm guessing?
edgecommunicationsllc.com.
LLC.com. Thank you guys for watching. God bless you.
Thank you.
Awesome, Christian.